This is going into College Avenue.
We're back in open session.
All right, we are now back in open session at 8:17, and we need a motion to certify that we discuss only the legal. Second, all in favor of certify, we'll start with Mr. Nash.
Certified.
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 Ms. Jones.
Certified.
Certified.
Motion carries 6-0. We're now back in regular session. And next up, and I want to thank y'all outside for bearing with us. We had some unforeseen issues come up, needing legal counsel. But Gordon Lee, you're on the agenda to speak. And I know we have some DBI folks. We have to follow the 10-person rule. We can certainly have, I think, one or two more in. I see Beth and Shirley and Field. Gordon Lee, the floor is yours. And thank you for your patience.
You have to excuse me. My printer ran out of ink, so I got to read off this small phone here. As he said, my name's Gordon Lee. I'm here tonight representing myself and my wife, Patricia. We are the new owners of the Corner Kitchen. I would like to talk about DBI funding. DBI is a great resource for all local businesses and should be fully funded. We are aware the budget is tough, however, the town has been far worse shape. We need to address the present by looking to the future. As we come out of these restrictions, we need help getting people back to Blackstone. We need a cheerleader, we need a promoter. The town has an opportunity to provide this. The eateries in this town are a direct source of revenue for this town. We are unpaid tax collectors. Yes, the customer pays the tax, but by paying the extra 6.5%, it also helps the family decide whether or not to go out. We take on that burden, so I ask that you take the burden of providing that cheerleader. $40,000 spent over roughly $550,000 brought in. It was actually more than that. I've heard 583 and I've heard 602. Do the math. Imagine what 50,000 funding could do. It could provide that professional needed to fill the position properly. Even if you don't add, do not reduce. Show the town that you care and want to support them. The town has a surplus. I understand that's been dipped into. However, if you don't support, then there'll soon be a deficit. How many local businesses will go under? You have to spend money to make money. Again, let me reemphasize, over $550,000 in meals tax that we, the restaurant owners, collected free of charge for the town. Please don't take this lightly. Find the money, use the surplus. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. The figure last year, for the last 3 years, it's the actual figure collected has exceeded $600,000. The town, man, we budget lower than that to not get so hooked on it. But we get your point.
It's a 90% return on your investment.
Absolutely, absolutely.
At $50,000 a year, you're getting a 90% return by the taxes collected just by the eateries.
Right.
That doesn't include your other businesses. Thank you.
We'll open this discussion and get into the. We're not going to approve a budget tonight, but certainly the budget is for a lot of people's minds and DBI. And you have in your packet a good letter by Taylor Quick. We also have some letters tonight that were submitted to us by Shirley Wilkins, as well as I believe we had another one from Scott Lewis, and they're entered into the record, echoing Mr. Lee's comments. Do y'all want to get into the finance committee right now, or do we don't? Okay.
I think, like we talked about before, Billy, I mean, is it enough time tonight to go through all of it?
No.
Or do we need to have a separate?
I'd like to have a special meeting to do two things in June. I like this council as a whole to vote on a budget to advertise for public hearing at our June council meeting, and I also think the council as a whole has got.
Looking at the calendar, I think we need to actually hold the public hearing at the June council.
Right, the public hearing, right.
Yeah,
I want to have a meeting before the third Monday in June for this council to decide what to advertise for public hearing. And then I also want to have, at that same meeting, this council has got to finalize a referendum question. Judge Sellers' desk on July 1st has got to have a letter from the town on the referendum, or we're going to blow it.
I mean,
You got your numbers.
next week I would like to meet and do this. I mean,
All
it
right.
doesn't need to be kicked down again, wait till mid-June.
Well, then what's today?
Today's the 18th, right? No, today's, yeah, the 18th.
Today is the 18th.
Could we do
I mean, whatever works.
10 days from tonight? Could we do like this next Wednesday or next Thursday? What's your
We got a
pleasure?
CZA meeting scheduled for the 1st of June. That's the only night that I know this room is already spoken for.
How about March 27th?
And it's not that it's not that,
May 27th, May 27th. Let's kick it down the road. Yeah. May 27th?
At,
I say let's do May 27th at 5 o'clock. It's not a public hearing, it's a work session, the public's invited. All right, then we'll do it at 6 o'clock 6 o'clock on May 27th to accommodate everybody, and we'll discuss the budget, what's gonna be advertised for hearing, and the referendum questions for the Armory and Community Center, or Recreation Center. But if anybody from Taylor, any questions? Taylor's here. Anything you'd like to add? Your letter is very thorough.
I appreciate it. I'm not gonna take up a lot of time. I know you've got a lot. We appreciate you reconsidering or obviously working on the budget. We know it takes a lot of time. We obviously just feel like this, if any time is needed, DBI is needed now. Obviously, we're a staff of one. We can't, if we were looking for an assistant or something like that, we could work for the year, but we have one staff and we just can't do it without staff if we want DBI to.
I do hate to put it off for a week, but because I do know they're holding off on interviews, obviously,
Sure.
until they have will they have funding for next year?
Right.
I personally say DBI will have funding, but there's 6 others that have other want lists as well, so
I got a
we
question.
have to address that.
Can I ask a question?
Before you do that,
Yeah,
there's
we
a
got
lot
that.
of stuff that's been cut out of the budget.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a lot of bulls and what's
Right.
been gored.
It needs to have a full-fledged discussion with not a busy agenda. We need to, yeah.
We need to get amongst ourselves, like you say, next week and discuss the whole
The
agenda.
whole budget, because there have been a lot of other cuts made. Taylor, you said something last week at the budget committee meeting, that right now, the way DBI is funded, is it a 60-40 mix, the way Main Street envisions?
I think that's what they envision, and I would say our budget every year for the last 5 years, even going back to your time, Tom, is a 60-40 as far as, this is what we raise from sponsorships, events, and this is what the town has given.
So 60% town funding, 40% DBI funding.
Correct. And we had a good year with sponsorships this year. Obviously, that could be very impacted next year depending on how
Sure.
this goes.
The fire chief just said his giving's gone down 85%, his donations.
Right.
Just for the record, so who all is out there in support of DBI besides Gordon Lee and Field?
Peggy Figler, Scott Lewis,
Scott Lewis is right here.
Okay, who else?
Beth Moncure, Shirley Wilkins. I think Carolyn sent a letter. Did that make the package?
Yeah, and she was also at the meeting.
Yeah, There's no one out there against DBI funding, right? Okay, just want to get that. All right, well, thank y'all. All right, where are we now, Madam Clerk, on our agenda?
all right, so
Bills, ain't it?
Payment of bills?
we need to approve the minutes.
I approve the
Skip
minutes
that.
from the meeting of April 20th.
I second.
All right, we have a motion been made and duly second. Any questions or clarifications? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, we did the fire chief's report and airwork payment of bills.
All right. Our first batch of bills, I need a motion in the amount of
$682,981.39.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right, Ms. Jones is moved.
I'll second.
Ms. Hasbrook is seconded. Any question on these first batch of bills?
Saw a meals reimbursement. I'm not there right now. I don't know if it was on this batch.
I see it right here.
For Justin Walters?
Yes.
Yeah,
Police officer at the academy.
but the academy's closed. That was an old bill, I take it.
I assume so, yeah, it must have been for March.
All right.
Okay.
We paid it right there in the first couple weeks of April.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote, starting with Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Aye.
Very nice. 6-0. And the second batch of bills total $708,700.98. Are broken down by department.
Move to approve.
So moved.
All right, Ms. Hasbrook is seconding Mr. Nash's motion. Any questions about those?
Curiosity question, meter deposit returns. The ones that we see returns going to, is it typically people that are moving out of Blackstone?
Yeah, I don't think we return them after a year of good credit anymore.
Correct, yeah.
I think these are people who have closed their account and they're moving on.
I just hate to see people leaving a
Take
fairly
their-
extensive list every month. They're leaving.
Yeah. You look at a comprehensive plan, look at the population of Blackstone, the census next year could be very humbling. But anyway, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye, starting with Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries as well, 6-0. You have committee reports, mainly just 2 recommendations, Mr. Nash. The big one, though, is the hardship utility policy. That's the big one, isn't it?
Would you like me to read for the,
Yeah, what do we want to tell our constituents when they ask what y'all doing about us paying our bills and not getting cut off?
the town of Blackstone takes notice of the ongoing public health emergency related to the spread of coronavirus or COVID-19, made the following declarations. Town council has suspended all fees associated with late payment of town utilities effective March 19th, 2020 until June 14th, 2020. A payment agreement will be mailed with the utility invoices that are distributed on May 29th, 2020. Next bills to go out. All customers that have an outstanding balance must contact the town of Blackstone Utility Department no later than June 10th, 2020 to establish a hardship payment plan. Effective June 14th, 2020, customers must pay payment plan amount plus any current charges to avoid additional charges or disconnection. All utility fees and disconnections will resume June 15, 2020. Payment plans for outstanding balances shall be paid in full no later than December 31st, 2020. So we're giving 6 months for everybody to get caught up.
Okay. Just hypothetical, just so people understand. Suppose I owe the town of Blackstone, let's say I owe y'all $1,000. If I come before June 14th and establish a payment plan to pay off that, what happens, say August or September, I get behind or whatever and I don't make that payment? So whatever plan you subscribe to with town staff, you must comply with and be timely, or you will just get disconnected before December
It
31st.
needs to be a consecutive monthly payment, if not, what you're gonna have is people jump, so I don't have to pay this to December.
Right,
December
right.
rolls up.
That's what I want
From what-
to, yeah.
From what I believe policies, if you read it, I mean, I believe it's supposed to be if you owe $1,000, say if you owe $600, it's gonna be split up in a 6-month period, you
Right.
owe extra $100 each month.
Right.
No interest, no penalties, no nothing.
Right.
But that $100 on top of your
What
regular
your
bill.
current.
But if they come to you in September and say, I missed the September one, Philip, because I had something come up,
I would say no, because the girls chastise me horribly when I do say yes, and I tend to say yes more than I should. But if somebody had a legitimate, my child's been in a car accident,
Right.
I
right,
will give the town citizens credit though. Last month, we were at $98,000. We're only at 125 now, 126 if you round up, thousand that's outstanding. I figured it would be double.
Good Friday.
Yeah.
I thought it was-
Yeah. So people are trying.
yep, there's no
Tom
doubt.
said 5, I
That's why
said
we're
3.
willing to try with them.
It's 125.
It's
Yeah,
great.
Tom said 5, I said 3.
Well, you want to vote by council to approve this utility policy?
I think that logically it would be, and see if everybody's in accord, and then we can move forward with it. And
Yeah, I
if
mean,
tweaking
how does
is
everybody else
required,
feel?
we'll bring it back.
I mean, obviously it was just Tom now. I mean, how does everybody else feel about it?
I think it sounds
It's
great.
not just
I think it
us.
sounds great, but we gotta stick to it.
Oh, yeah.
Have to stick to it.
And it's for the benefit of the town. I mean, we've got to have that money eventually.
Right.
We're just footing it right now, so.
And then too, if they don't pay, then it's not fair, it's not fair to the rest of the people.
What were you saying, Mr. Morgan?
I don't think Southside will need a co-op like that would provide leniency like that.
I've heard I'll be honest with you, I think we've been a pretty good role model in Southside for how we've been. I mean, I haven't heard anybody, we've been, I think, credited for being pretty friendly to the people and the businesses. But we need a motion.
I think 6 months is pretty decent.
Yeah, I
Is
think
that
so,
fair
too.
to everybody? Y'all think 6
I
months?
think it's fair.
We didn't want it to all come due at the end, right before Christmas.
Right.
So we stuck it to the end of the year.
I make a motion to accept.
Mr. Morgan has moved and Mrs. Jones has seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries 6-0. And Mr.
Will this be notified in the paper?
Is the COVID coming back in the fall?
Yeah, I worry, but we have another outbreak where that might halt everything or,
So I think we should be prepared for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
3 months that you
they
can get.
expecting for that to come back worse than fall, it's gonna hit the same time.
The book. One more thing with committees.
yes.
Okay, Mrs. Rutledge, down here on Main Street. Okay, she's raising Cain about a stop sign. So Tom agreed, that she wants a stop sign by her house. Okay, so Tom and I agreed to let it happen because you know what happened the last time that she had a disagreement down here. It went out crazy. So like the town manager says, he'd like to get a vote on it now so we can go ahead and proceed.
What intersection is this? The intersection of Man and,
Dillard.
Dillard.
okay, there's one at Man and High, there's one at Man and High.
Block down from where we just.
One more block down.
That's the committee's recommendation?
Yes.
But she asked for it a few years ago when it was
Got turned
denied.
down before this council took it.
Before you put this new one up, she asked years ago for it because she said it's like a bus stop area.
If we do it, I recommend we put stop bars. I will admit on camera, 2 weeks ago, I was coming through Main Street, I didn't stop at that stop.
And I'll admit,
You don't see.
You need a stop bar, stop,
There's gotta be a
got to stop bars are important.
I think I have not stopped one time at that stop sign, and I ride it every day.
Well, we got them on tape, let's do some back tickets. What is, does it, all right, so that's a recommendation by the committee, does council wish to approve that? I need a motion. This one, that's good, you got one at Man and High.
You got one in Man and High, Man and Harris, you got one in the next 2 blocks.
It'll be 3 blocks in a row that you have this.
What is council's pleasure?
Maybe it should be at the one below her house.
Has there been any incidents at this particular intersection?
I think the explanation that Wilma had given us previously is her grandkids are out there and she wanted people not to drive fast. Her grandkids are out there.
Plus, she has put a little sign down in front of her house.
Bus stop
And it's a
sign?
bus
That
stop.
bus
there.
stop there.
Well, how about, instead of doing it in 3 consecutive blocks, you do it in the one down further from her house, which is right in the same block on Main Street, but you do it on the block
That's not
further.
gonna be good enough.
It's not gonna be good enough if she's gonna be in here raising cane.
How
telling
about
you
traffic calming device on that street?
Traffic calming device, fine, there you go.
Well, this is why it matters, because then you'll have people coming in next week or the week after, just like with the ditches. I need a stop sign here, next thing you know, you'll be driving all over town at 10 miles an hour, because you gotta stop every 500 feet.
We just put one where D. Duncan had a request, and that was Crier, that was Man and where? Man and Crier?
Dillard.
See, I think he's at Dillard.
Oh, he's Dillard, that's right.
No.
No, he's not Dillard.
He's at Harris.
Harris.
Harris, okay.
Yeah.
This would be at Dillard, which.
Dillard.
So this would be 3 intersections in a row.
Yes.
I mean, not even,
Would
not,
it be possible to send the police department, have an officer go to them time to time, just to sit and monitor, see how the traffic is before we make a decision?
I agree, see what the speed, see what they're really running, let's see what they're running.
See if it's
Or we can do
related
this,
to stop
look at the
signs.
speed bump, maybe that's a solution there.
I'm gonna tell you right now,
Hey, y'all.
where you live, I'd vote tomorrow to put one right by your house.
It's terrible.
It's a Tenth Street, man, the road is narrow, and they fly between, 10th and 8th.
That and a camera for trash.
10th and, Lunenburg, I'm sorry. All right, well, look, can we agree to let's hold off for 30 days on the stop sign request, would that be okay? And we,
Courthouse Road.
Oh,
Where
speed.
there's, yeah.
oh,
Maybe
terrible.
Hit a speed, or get cooking there.
Yeah.
Did we vote on the hardship policy?
We did, the hardship policy passed, but you have another recommendation, Mr. Nash, on the,
Correct, yes.
energy audit, or the utility audit.
Come to light after people have been asking, why can't certain things be lower, and we look at bills, well, it's come to light that it may be possible that some people aren't getting charged the correct amounts in their favor, or it could be the opposite way. So I would like for us to, and I think Tom agreed, to have a utility audit starting June 1, and that would be in-house audit. I mean, we do it ourselves. Just look at each bill. Is Clay's Garden Center getting charged $30 for trash pickup, or are they getting charged $15? Are they getting, just need to look at everything, because it's been
Well, let's just, I mean, we
years
don't,
and years, and we've never looked at that stuff.
you don't have to name names, but it was brought to light, and y'all can figure it out. This council received a letter recently, and that letter allowed someone else in town to discover that the person writing the letter was not paying the proper amount for.
Correct.
So, with Mr. Nash, I don't know if it words you mouth, you want to make sure that that's isolated and not repetitive of other places.
In all fairness, it just needs to be, yes.
Okay, so,
And the June 1st will be that the audit will be conducted, because Brenda will be leaving. She's the one to set up the account, so it'll be a third set of eyes to look at it.
okay.
Is it all?
These are the dates.
I was approached at the post office the other day about Cold Harbor. And the question was, why do we let Cold Harbor, in other words, the person said, if you live in Cold Harbor, when you come and get your lights turned on, the only thing they ask you for is the lights. But the person was saying, in which we see this, the people in Cold Harbor that don't elect to get their garbage picked up, what they're doing is they're taking their garbage and they're throwing it all in the dumpsters in Blackstone. So what's happening is they're not paying for garbage, but they're getting the same benefits as if you paid for garbage.
There are numerous people in Blackstone that lives out in the country that drive into town and using that dumpster in the alley behind Eddie Nash's.
The one in Bevel.
The minute market, all
Yeah,
of it. But I'm saying, if we provide, the question was, if we're providing them with electricity, why shouldn't they be made to do water and sewer and garbage? Why shouldn't they?
They do water and sewer in Cold Harbor.
Yeah, but what about the garbage?
The reason the garbage is not instantly assessed to everybody because they're out of town.
Right.
And it's discretionary, out of town. That's the reason individuals, however, and I haven't checked the bill, I'm sure Cold Harbor itself, they have an office there. They may be getting charged $30 a month for the dumpster to be tipped, and would it even be necessary for all the tenants then to do it? Because I don't think,
That was the complaint, and I was approached by the same individual. He said that Cold Harbor Apartments, which is obviously separate from Cold Harbor subdivision, same, different entities, that Cold Harbor Apartments pays the town for trash pickup.
$30
But all the
probably.
residents of Cold Harbor, which has nothing to do with Cold Harbor Apartments,
Right.
use their dumpster to put through all their trash. That's where the concern is.
That's people,
Right.
human beings.
Concern, and it's a big concern.
But that's an issue that the apartment complex needs to govern, not the town of Blackstone. They need to say, look, this is for residents only.
Do we offer, the only thing I think we can do is when we sign up people for new electricity and water and sewer accounts in Cold Harbor, are they offered garbage? Do we outright say, hey, you
some
want
do,
garbage?
but I think we do pick up some garbage out there. I think we pick up.
Yeah, you pick up some.
To make it
Yeah,
a
you
protocol that when each person in Cold Harbor or anybody outside of town that gets electric or water or sewer from us, when they sign up, we say, do you want garbage?
We say something because I'm not standing there when they sign everybody up, but there are people in Cold Harbor subdivision
Okay.
whose garbage we do pick up.
Let's make that sort of part of your energy audit, your utility audit, if we don't mind, maybe a little.
See how many houses in Cold Harbor
Yeah.
have trash pickup?
Because to use an example, Mr. Miller, we do, for example, we go out to Ridge Road at the State Driving Academy 2 miles out of town and get trash, but they pay us pretty well for it.
Right.
But we
But I mean, the
we can do
question
that.
was, like Eric said, the question is, if I move to Cold Harbor and I come down here to get my lights turned on, then the only thing you require me to do is get my lights turned on. So after that, if I don't want you to pick up my garbage, then I throw my garbage in the dumpster at Cold Harbor or wherever.
Right.
Because they're county residents, we can't mandate that they are
Right.
on garbage.
We haven't been.
Tom?
That's why we haven't.
Different subject. I was also approached by an individual this week about, could we relook at what individuals pay, say, 3,000, you pay for 3,000 gallons of water and sewer whether you use it or not. Is there a reason that we chose 3,000, why couldn't it be 1,500? Or just ask that we look at that. I would defer that we talk about that next week when we have that.
Yeah.
Tom, the only thing I see
But
is that you
still, it's
obviously,
gonna be where we get it.
you obviously have to offset, so you have to raise the rate for those that are paying over the 1,500. So I mean, you gotta get it from somewhere.
And I'll tell you, the 3,000, in my personal opinion, that's been historical, as long as I've been around, it's been 3,000. But I think the health department, if you check with them, the average family or single-family unit in the state of Virginia by health department standards is about 3,000.
Which, to be honest, that was probably, how many years ago, it's probably an increase now.
It may very well.
Sure.
That's-
Especially if you have young girls in the house. Yes, Christine.
Can we also add in for discussion next week about the tiered garbage rates for commercial?
I think we'll be ready.
Yeah,
Yes.
I've been doing some work on that. We'll talk about that next week.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
We'll have a
It's
good.
not gonna be as landslide as everybody thinks, though.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got some good foundation for the 27th of the month at 6 o'clock next Wednesday. All right, moving right along. Anything else on accounting and finance? We'll be hitting that hard the
Did
next.
you vote for the utility?
No.
I think we can common consent and
We
struck
figured it was common.
common consent. All right, moving right along to the consent agenda, which is nothing. We have unfinished business.
Consent agenda,
Yes.
we can get it in, I didn't get it in here, but Rotary has their 4th of July motorless parade coming up on the 4th of July. They would like to request that the streets be closed for that hour, basic.
Move to approve?
I'd say just to be safe, I would ask council to move to approve it contingent upon there not being any other new executive orders. If we have, is that okay, Mr. Nash?
Express our freedoms and
All right.
stay 6 foot apart.
That's it.
Parade all you want.
Who seconds? Mr. Morgan, second. Any further discussion? This is the Rotary 7th annual, 8th annual, what is it now? It's been going on, pretty good run. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Under unfinished business, you have the dreaded or continued Cox Road waterline extension. The county will not give us an answer.
Well, it's been a year, or
been a year.
Next, or this coming month.
It's been a year.
I'm just letting you guys know that I just haven't heard anything back.
But the board meets on Thursday. Would you like me to go, I'm at that meeting, would you like me to go to the podium and say, Board of Supervisors, we have people outside our town dying to get town
As a
water?
matter of courtesy, I always contact Ronnie. I'm
Call him.
good with board members,
Right.
as I would expect
Right.
courtesy from him.
I'm gonna be up Thursday too.
And he's just told me, when Mr. Vaughn's ready to discuss it, he'll bring it up.
Have the residents written letters to their supervisor?
That's where the heat,
Letter that I see is to you guys.
again, she's written us twice.
Excuse me, it's copied to the board of supervisors.
It's the same.
It is.
Same way.
Well, I think, I mean, if these individuals on Cox Road, they need to press their own supervisors. I mean, that's where it needs to.
Because,
All five of them.
Do. I mean, we can't foot it.
and then Mr. Ryan told me that he was having a problem with that lady with the animal farm, and he had to talk to her so he could get her to agree. Whoever got the animal clinic out there.
Dr.
Cause I
Carter.
think she had just dug a well or something.
It's a mixed bag up there. There's some that said no, but I've hit others with the gas station, and Frankie Williams said, please get the water out of here.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag. It's not unanimous.
Well, maybe it's best I not ask them, because I think y'all are right. They need to,
The residents need to express.
the decision makers aren't the town, we're ready to do it, they need to pressure their supervisors.
Waiting on that.
Right.
Okay, could you communicate that to the lady, or
All right, Miss.
say, please, we encourage y'all to put the pressure on,
I'll get the clerk to prepare. them.
okay?
Miss
very good.
Hines, right?
Huh?
Miss Hines.
Miss Hines, the lady that sent
Yeah,
us.
Linda Hines of,
Also own property up at
Midlothian.
Forty.
what's that?
So we also own property down there, we wait for it
True.
That's right.
too. Last house on the right.
Send your letter across the court.
All right, so, this next one, folks, is a big one. Well, this is the pricing options for the community center, with the pool, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I read here today, I read the packet this morning, we've got a standalone community center with a pool over there at the old school complex, and there's one option here that's got an armory with a pool in it.
With the pool. Right.
Pool beside it.
And.
Beside it.
Live, yeah, beside it. I think the last time we talked, we wanted to kind of pin it down and give a figure for each one. And I'll be honest with you, the figures, if you look here, are fairly comparable to what was given to us for the armory renovation with Walter Max Group at Brian Green. I think it was within thousands of dollars, but approximately $2.1 million. Looking at the other option, which would be to renovate the cafeteria building, I think that's what the county calls it, and add a gymnasium on the back, would reduce the size of the gymnasium recommended. So if you see differences in square footages, but it would use that cafeteria building for bathrooms, for offices, that sort of thing, so you wouldn't have to rebuild them. But he did have a $580,000 or $585,000 cost for renovation of that building, and that's based on his estimations. So I think the two buildings without the pool are fairly comparable. I think they're within $200,000, excuse
I
me.
think the
of
pool
one
needs to
another.
be,
But the swimming pool, we looked at two sizes. I think there were some folks that came to one of our meetings at Building Property and Cemetery and indicated that we should build an Olympic-sized swimming pool, and I recommend you don't do that. That's
No.
$13 million or something. That was really expensive. But I think both of these projects are within $200,000 of each other. Renovate the armory and add a half-size pool, a half of the Olympic-sized pool, or build a standalone building at the Wigglesworth complex, attach it to the cafeteria building, and also have a enclosed swimming pool there. And I think the armory was about $200,000 left, but both of them were approximately $6.9 million versus $7.1 million. So
Does that include demo for over it?
it didn't have a number in there, $85,000 for demo.
How about the operational cost of the armory, the armory without a pool versus the recreation center with
I
a
think
pool?
in some of his narratives,
Trying to find
I
it.
think he put a $5 to $7 a square foot. He says aquatic center may have a $10 to $14 per square foot cost of water area and yearly operational costs. This places the baseline pool operational cost $35,000 to $49,000 a year, while the expanded pool, the big boy, would be in excess of $100,000. The remainder of the facility could see utilities and maintenance in the range of $5 to $7 a square foot per year, and this equates to a range of $82,000 to $128,000. And if you remember that VML study, It was $100,000.
So you're looking at, with the pool, you're looking at, with the baseline pool, an additional.
About $20 a square foot.
$200,000
Now, does that also include
in
insurance?
maintenance.
Yes, this should include insurance. I told him to give me a CAM figure.
Right. But just to make sure, I know we've got a hybrid we're talking about here with the Armory with the pool outside, but if the original thing that got us to renovating the Armory was around 2.1, 2.3 million, without a pool, without anything, that figure you said is pretty much about right.
I don't think Brian's way off on
With about $100,000 a year operating expense.
100 to 140.
Okay.
This is actually a pretty, yeah, it's all informational, very informational.
Can you see a situation, Mr. Norbeck, where the town of Blackstone, no matter where you put it, can afford to build and operate a swimming pool?
Not without
Fort Lee just
getting some
closed
revenues
theirs
to do it.
before it-
Who's that?
Fort Lee closed theirs because of the money it was.
I mean, there'd be no way to do it off
But it's
of
going back up.
fees or collections. It would have to be a dedicated amount, because if they were to do a $7 million issue, that's bigger than the water plant. We'd have to borrow it. So in order to borrow it, we're gonna have to guarantee that we can make the debt service payments. And somebody's gonna look at a Roland Cooch or VML Vaco is gonna sit back and say 7.5 cents or 8 cents on the tax rate or something. I can't do it on the existing
No.
maintenance or the construction.
No.
With either project, wouldn't you wanna wait and see how it's gonna be used first before you put, I mean, that's something that you could add later. I mean, if you found a certain need for it.
And that's why I asked him to itemize it. Building, small pool, big pool. And I think we could just throw the big pool out. I may be going out on a limb on that one, but that one's really.
I would say we throw the Olympic-sized pool out.
I say you throw them all out until, I mean, just concentrate on the building. And then, if we can verify.
But wouldn't it be best to have both prices on that referendum so people will know this is what I'm voting for?
I mean,
Well, that would go in the literature. I think you're going to have to do two things. The council will have to craft a question. Should X, should Y, and then I think we have the option by law, we can provide a little fact sheet like they do when they do a state referendum. That a yes vote means the council will spend up to so-and-so. Your tax rate could go up to that'd be in the literature. You wouldn't get that in the voting booth unless somebody you could pass them out there if you want to, like a politician does. You can't have, Mr. Miller, you can't have a question that says, should the town do this, and then have all these explanations on the ballot. The judge won't approve that.
they'll get confused, just
Yeah.
vote.
They're gonna want a yes or no
Right.
for both issues.
Right. But what we have here tonight in this study is, like I said, I call it a hybrid, where you've got a renovation of the Armory that also includes a pool outside, which is something we really haven't had a lot of discussion about in here.
Yeah, and looking at it, it was $6,700,000 according to his figures for the renovation of the Armory and the Aquatic Center, just in matter of fairness, and for the new building, because there was a $500,000 for renovation of that existing structure, it ran up to 7.3. So about, if you split the difference or come up with the average, it would be about $7 million
Either one,
Either
with the pool.
with a smaller pool.
And keep in mind, again, and we don't want to belabor this because we'll have another meeting, but all this thing we're doing, which is important, because November 3rd is going to be a big day for our country and our community and everything else. It's an advisory referendum. And I've told y'all before, and I'll say it again for everybody, before we do it, and I want to do it. I'm in favor of the referendum, I think y'all are, but I think we've got to agree and tell the people, say, look, even though it's only advisory, we're going through this headache and trying to answer this question, we're going to do what y'all say. Because the worst thing we do is have an advisory referendum, and
Don't do
it's
nothing.
a narrow margin of victory, and then somebody goes, no, I wouldn't,
What we don't do what the community says, and it's not fair to anybody.
Correct. But I know now, I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but not everybody voted in favor of the referendum. And Colonel Tom, for example, not picking on you, but, you may not want to do that way, and that's your right. Because,
I would have issue, if only 200 people vote on the referendum, I would have issue making a decision for the town based on 200 people.
Being that it's gonna be in the November.
you're going to have a lot more than that.
You're gonna have a whole lot.
Yeah, you'll have
If it were just
Trump and
that-
Biden. You're going to have Trump and Biden.
Well,
And
if
Taylor
it's
Clay.
something that people can stand to be taxed on later.
Personally, I think it's crazy that we're looking at either one of them in this time, but we do need to put it to rest and do a referendum.
Right.
Yeah, Mr. Nash, you said it best. Right now, we're actually, people would say we're crazy with the
We're
budget,
absolutely crazy, yes.
but because it's an 18-year-old drama, it's time to move on,
Then that doesn't mean that we immediately, whoever wins the referendum, that doesn't mean that the circumstances would have to be right for us to even start working on this project.
If interest
right?
rates were to suddenly go up to 5% again, or 6%, then we might have to say,
Right.
yeah. But you gotta remember, the people that vote yes, and their side wins, they're gonna
Well, we've got a
expect,
project
with everything
that we'll
we
be
have-
working on.
right.
I think with everything we have said, if it goes the way for reference for the project, yes, then I think it's our duty to go
Good.
ahead with whatever we need to
Right.
do to get going.
If the Armory wins, the Armory wins.
Commissioner,
Or
I think
it could
it's
be
fine.
neither.
If you're not gonna go with the public opinion, don't go through all this trouble.
You're right, Mr. Morgan, you're dead accurate, and the and we'll move on after this, I promise. But there is one reality Mr. Nash mentioned that we have to think about too. If no wins on both, if voters vote no twice, then we will have a question about the Armory.
Well, I can tell you, you're gonna need to explain, and we'll have to go through all this.
Yeah.
We'll have to put out public information, ads
Sure.
in the paper, just to inform all the citizens, and instead of handing out brochures and stuff, that's not.
Right.
That if people don't want anything, what do? Vote no for both?
Correct,
So,
correct.
what if they vote, but then you should only be able to vote one time. Because what if you vote yes for both of them?
Well, I think we can honestly say that if y'all vote yes for both, we're back at square one.
Correct.
'Cause we ain't doing both.
It's gonna happen, I can tell you, it's gonna happen. Is there no way, and we'll get to it.
Is there no way that we can just make it a yes or no question?
Well, it has to be by law, yes or no. It has to by law be a yes or no.
So it
So
can't
then
be
it's up to us to
it
word
can't
it.
be Armory.
No, it cannot.
No.
It has to be, and the word has to be should, not shall. Should the town of
Is
Blackstone,
there no way the computer though can't limit?
I don't know, I like your idea, pick one, you can only answer one question, but I don't think
you
you,
take standardized tests in school, if you
It
mark
is
two
true,
of
you
them.
hit the button, that's it.
Yeah.
You can't go.
Well, these things are gonna be hand counted, right? I mean, this isn't gonna be an electronic count.
now this is gonna, here's what's gonna happen. When you walk into the Blackstone Police Station to vote in the county election, they're gonna say, oh, Mr. Colburn, you're a town of Blackstone voter, you go to this machine, because this machine has a referendum. Whereas a person who lives on Route 46 out of town,
But this will actually be on the ballot?
yes,
This will be formalized.
with Trump and Biden and everything.
Push the button on that.
That's
Yes.
why I think you can only select yes on one, I would think, they could probably fix that to where.
I don't know, that what if you're against both of them, though, man? If you're a taxpayer, like, look, I don't want to pay any more taxes, I want both projects dead, you certainly should have a right to vote no on both.
Most definitely.
Right. So I think, we're gonna, if they vote yes on both, then you gotta look at the margin.
Count them both.
If the Armory wins by one vote and the pool wins by 200, you know they want the pool, the recreation center.
But if they vote for both, they're just
Dilute their vote.
diluting whatever they did. I mean, it's like
Right.
my wife and I going to vote and she votes one way.
But it messes up those that vote no, so you're not getting a true accurate count for who voted no for none of them. I mean, for both of them. You can't vote yes for both of them, there's no way you can,
No.
because you're gonna mess up your no votes. Well,
But you could say, you could say, I want the Armory, and I also want something for the children to do. I want both, and raising my taxes. They can do that. Certainly they can do that. No, this council's never gonna say we're gonna do both. And I think you need to make that up front. But here's the thing,
You put taxes in there and raise it, they'll get the rest.
right, but if the Army, here's the example, suppose yes wins on both, and the Army wins 60 to 40%, and the community center wins by 51-49. The people have spoken. More people prefer the Armory than prefer the community center, or vice versa. If the pool wins over there at the school complex 60-40, and the Armory squeaks out a 10-vote victory, you're going to the pool.
man, what if it's,
I don't know, this is kind of complicated.
Well, folks, we got 2 months to get this right, so let's talk about it.
is there no way we can ask the registrar herself
Yes.
to look into it, to see how the question would work? Is there a way that the computer can she be at our next meeting?
She knows the vendors. She and I have talked. Yes, she can answer all these
Please have her
questions.
here, so we can, instead of us saying, oh, well, you can select yes twice, we don't know. We don't have a
Right.
clue. Let her tell us.
Right. But certainly,
So we get her at this.
we can ask
You want her
her.
at the next meeting or the next June meeting?
I think. Listen,
Budget meeting,
we
right?
got to have her next Wednesday.
Budget meeting.
Yeah.
We'll do that first.
Right.
Yeah, just get her out the way.
So she can-
If she can make it.
Yes.
Will you contact her or do you want me to contact her?
I'll talk to her tomorrow night because Crew's got an election. I'm gonna be talking to.
He'll be up there tonight.
But again, folks, like I said, I don't want to panic y'all, but we're less than 2 months away from getting this letter on the judge's desk.
No, and this is, all this pandemic has delayed it, so it's,
Right, but if we get through this calendar year, folks, and the people of Blackstone look at this council and this mayor as y'all didn't get the referendum right, or y'all don't know what to do, we're gonna get run out of here.
And did you say the price of a referendum is cheaper?
Yes.
If we go on with the not, with.
Angela told me it would be a significant savings by having it on November 3rd, when they're already doing a county election versus some other date.
I mean, once you're getting people out to vote, that's the thing to do.
Yeah, like Tom said, you don't get.
I'm at a meeting, I'll call you back.
200 people in town come out.
Phone call.
Doesn't give you.
Alright,
All right, moving right along. What's next, Madam Clerk? I'm scrolling.
Ongoing projects.
Yes, dilapidated building. This is on Tunstall Avenue.
Yeah, we're just waiting on service on the Department of Taxation. No one was there to accept service, and so it had to be resubmitted this week when they came back to work. So once we have that, and Mayor asked me, I don't know, a week or two ago, how much did I expect it to cost? And obviously, we're less than a contractor. We don't have a profit. My estimation was about $14,000. That's primarily in tipping fees. Okay.
All right.
It's that much of a building. It really is kind of a, and we're
Is
not
that what-
busting the slab out.
Does that include burning it like Eric suggested, taking it out?
That would be taking everything up to the landfill.
Okay.
It's really just a metal building on four sides. It's got some heavy beams inside of it, which don't necessarily have to go to the landfill, but I think it'd take about $14,000.
Will the metal, can the metal go to the ABC recycling?
Yeah, we can peel some of the metal off.
If you pick through it.
We'll get as much as we can. We always do whenever we tear a building down.
Okay.
I went to the landfill, come over, we got a deal for it.
I mean, this budget year, you could find $14,000 just to tear
I don't
down
know.
someone else's issue?
I don't know, but man, I don't think you can leave it like that. Have you been to the back of that thing?
It's pretty wretched. But that area over there intrigues me because you got Miller Field for sale. You've got a nice clear lot between the warehouse and Miller Field. That's an interesting area over there for some housing, I would
Yeah, I've
think.
been able to do a lot of the East End stuff because we have East End grant money and we can match it and do all it. Over here, this is just a big old white elephant and the back end of it has collapsed and it's just laying on the ground and debris and vines and
No, I
everything.
mean, that, and you've even said it, that it's got too much tied to it already on liens.
Oh, accepting the property? I'm not sure you want to do that because I think there's so many liens on it.
Oh, really?
Because I can tell you, if we were to work out an agreement and then to give us the property, the lien doesn't extinguish. You gotta pay the lien on it. You accept the property with the lien. And I don't think that's a good idea.
No.
I think just turn it down, wash your hands and let it happen.
And let it sit, and then we have to pay people to cut the grass all the time.
Yeah, well, I think we do some of that already.
All right, anything else under dilapidated buildings?
We do have the two other ones, one on North Main and one on East Broad. Now that we have a full crew back, we got enough people that could drive dump trucks to take care of it. I think I'll start on North Main unless we get just gobs more rain this week, and I'll probably put it off so they don't tear everybody's yard
They
up.
get more rain this week, somebody will put it over.
Which of these,
All
what's the
week.
North Main Street, which one is it that they worked out a payment plan that they're,
It's right there behind CrossFit.
so it's North Main Street one
North Main Street, right
that I
before we
admire
get out of
that they
town.
are willing to pay
$100 a
over,
month.
all for it. I'll tear down anything they want, as long as they're paying for it.
They agree to $100 a month.
All right, moving right along with us, unless there's any objections, we have meals tax, informational. We do have 4 establishments that are still outstanding and for quite a while, for a couple months, it looks like. I think with the pandemic, we're allowed to, being a little more slack, because, 10 years ago, if you were late in your meals tax, it was,
Doink.
But we had this topic in account finance on June 14th. I mean, is it due at that time as well? I mean,
That policy did not address meals tax.
no, we did not.
That's just utilities.
that's true. What is
Remember, these are also
collected?
taxpayers' collected funds.
That they're playing with.
Right. And I'm
That
fine
they're
if
playing
they
with.
needed it for that time being. But at some point, it needs to be paid to the town of Blackstone.
You know?
So when do you draw the line and say it's owed, it's due?
I think that's a question that the town manager wants y'all to answer tonight. I think you need to give some guidance.
20th is what I would do. If you don't make your June
You gotta
payment,
keep it a status quo,
and everything,
because
anybody that's
you
not caught
can't
up,
drop it and pay Paul,
There-
it's gotta stay.
So their June
It's
payment.
supposed to be segregated, it's hard, it's,
And it's not, I mean, I get it, but when you open a food establishment, you know it off the bat. It's not something that's sprung on you last minute.
right.
And, I appreciate, everything that's going on, but you've got to stick with,
you gotta click them on.
Yeah, you gotta-
collect the money.
And listen, while I support Gordon Lee and the DBI folks, one thing that is interesting, I was shocked, and I'm sure y'all were too, the meals tax collections for the town during this
More than I thought
pandemic,
they were gonna be.
they're 6% off. And McDonald's, you ride by there, I go by at 10:15 to get a cup of coffee thinking I'll beat the crowd. It's in the street. The drive-through is in the street.
I believe it's been more business, just like Big T and Crew. You can't, Lisa and I stopped by there on the way back to High Bridge on Saturday. The line was to the road. We were at the window within 12 minutes gone, and when we left, the line was still at the road.
Yeah.
So
It's been.
There's something going on, definitely.
if you read, it says meals tax due on March 20th. There's people that still owe that. There's 4 of them that still owe that.
That was for February.
February. I think, so if you're saying June 20th, they're due, all back meals tax are due as well.
Everything's due on June 20th, or you become in arrears, and then we start penalizing you and pursuing you.
I would think so,
What are the
Jay.
penalties?
It's a
What are the penalties?
10%, it's 10% for late, if you come in after the 20th of the month, it's a 10% penalty, and then there's, interest.
And no penalties on the past due. Just if you don't pay it by the 20th, then you start getting penalties. That's what I
You
think.
penalize for the whole amount,
Yeah,
correct?
correct.
Even if outstanding amounts, if they're not caught up by June 20th, then we apply the.
That's giving over a month notice, so.
And not to contradict Mr. Lee again, because I wish he was here, I don't like talking about people not here, but he mentioned that there were unpaid tax collectors. That's not entirely accurate, because if I submit a $1,000 check to the town for the meals tax payment for my establishment on or before the 20th, I get a 2% discount, do I not? I know that's not a lot of money, but if just by there is some,
And meals tax is also collected outside of the historic business district, just so.
Right.
they're-
correct.
Majority
Correct.
of meal taxes.
But I think, and I'll make the motion that effective June 20th, all meals tax, even past due, are due. And then if not paid in full, will be assessed penalties and interest.
All right, is there a second to Mr. Nash's motion?
So moved.
Mr. Miller has seconded. Any further discussion?
And make it clear that past due amounts currently are not getting interest, fees, whatever.
But not paid by June 20th,
Not paid by
then
June
it all
20th.
applies.
They will, yes.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0. Moving along to street.
Just so you know, we also talked at Finance Committee meeting about the sale of delinquent tax properties. And we have a list, there's about 6 properties that would be sold because they have not either made accommodations to make the payment plan with the attorney. Still about 6 of them, I think 4 or 5 of them are just chronic, so we've cut their grass for years and they just, either the people have passed away or they're not taking care of the property. I think we also said June 15th, we would start that process, because I suspended it back in probably February. They were gonna proceed on with the advertisement, and I suspended it because of this. We talked a little bit, and I think after June 15th, we'll get back to that.
Especially, just mainly for those that are chronic, that we're not gonna get paid for anyway. And if it's a hardship about somebody that,
There's a hardship on it, yeah.
I mean, if Billy Colburn owed taxes and he had been paying them for the past 3 years, but then this year he wasn't able to.
No, we don't sell anything until it's 3 years.
3 years delinquent, right?
So
So,
it's not something current.
yeah, they're all hardship. After 3 years, everybody's got a hardship, but
And I
yeah.
would say most of these are over 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was nice that you held off though during the pandemic because you didn't have to.
What's that?
That was nice that you held off because you didn't have to.
Didn't have to, we could, but it would have been publicity,
Correct. It would not have been good.
an occupied home out from a family, yeah.
Just to be clear, so that Treasurer Harris will know what's going on. Okay, so for the meals tax, currently there is no penalty and interest. But if you have not paid by June 20th, are you adding penalty and interest to the previous or just to the, from,
To everything.
okay.
Everything.
Until June 20th.
But, so,
Even past due amounts, now they're not.
past due
If
right
they
now
pay
is
them
not
prior,
out.
if they pay them prior to the 20th,
Right.
the past due amounts, no, they don't assess any.
But if they haven't paid it, then the past due will have,
Will be due at that time.
But
And
it will
will-
have interest
and
and
if they don't pay it on that day, it will get penalties.
Yeah, we'll get.
On all of it.
okay.
On all of it.
Okay.
And the
But if they pay
outstanding amount.
now, no penalty, no interest, no nothing.
Right.
Right.
And I'll be honest, we're doing something that I think is very nice. I'm not sure the Code of Virginia allows us
May not, but-
on, because Ronnie Rourke and them were talking about, not charging penalty and interest, and the Code of Virginia wouldn't let you do it. The code will let you extend the date, but those funds held in trust, we're probably bending a little bit, but,
Well, I'd rather somebody come to us and say, y'all are doing wrong.
right. I'd rather err on the side of being nice, but it's getting, like I said, June is
In
coming.
the state code, it's pretty clear that it's a criminal offense not to pay it if collected.
They're held in trust. All right, that motion's carried, everyone's clear, and Hope, we pray for all those restaurants, especially those 4. Next one, the street improvements projects, number 3, is just an update on all the paving. And I'll tell you what, they did a good job, when I can tell.
I thought they
The
did.
paving in town, especially out here on Nottaway Avenue. I know the
They
other,
did help, didn't they?
man, that's good.
I got the best area in the town of
Except for
Blackstone.
What were they, man?
Y'all take a tour.
the
Hey.
park before Nathaniel's house.
We got work to do.
Holy cow.
We got some
Next to
problems,
Garrett
some
Moon
issues.
Pool.
Yeah, we had
The next big project is at Lunenburg Avenue and 4th Street. If you're coming from Church Street and you get to the 4th Street intersection, that road is torn up.
Yeah. All that slurry seal stuff that's popping up.
But you're gonna hit that next summer anyway. That's on the schedule to be next summer.
And this one,
This coming summer. Oh, wow. Okay.
it's on schedule, but I need to get some asphalt down first, and I may call Colony and see if they'll bring a couple dump truck loads and just smear it out, and then,
Put some asphalt on 10th Street where they cut across the.
oh, they did
That's
do
in-
that. Yeah,
that's in
that's
the
part of their
project.
contract.
It's in the project.
They're probably letting it settle a little bit.
But I need to put some asphalt down on 4th Street because tar and gravel will never hold on that. That's why we've got to put some asphalt.
Yeah, they did a good job.
Billy trips when he runs there, so.
Wrigglesworth looking good. I love those traffic calming devices. I think they're gonna get popular in town.
I think somewhere like Pickett Court would be a logical place.
Yeah.
And just, snowplow's scary when you go, because
No, I
you
agree.
invariably tear them out of the
I
ground.
think they could probably be a little less mounded.
Well, I guess those are built to specification. I don't know if you can make them less,
Right.
but you can do something which is more of a wider. It's the same height, but it's much wider, if you've ever seen them. Something like a wave that you go on.
Correct. So it's not a big.
Well, if you wanna keep them slow, you're gonna keep it like it is, and you put away.
You keep them slow on that road, don't you?
And I'm calling it now, when they make the traffic circle down there, the interest in Pickett, there's gonna be more accidents than with that.
The roundabout, you think yeah,
They're gonna
You
be.
know, I noticed they was supposed to.
they're gonna turn over. They're gonna go too fast.
45 miles an hour though,
Good.
at least.
All right, East End update.
We're getting ready to bid out 6. I think we bid them out today, as a matter of fact. And there's 6 units, 3 apartment units in one building. And if you look at the list that Yvonne brought, those are the ones that are 410 East Broad, where Kit Johnson lives. Also doing 509 East Broad Street, which is at the corner of Epps and Broad. 105 Viewbank Street, which is next to Annette Johnson's house. And 405 East Broad Street, which would be, I believe, the Booth property.
Yeah, 4, so you're gonna have 4 or 5, yeah, okay.
And those, I think he's issued the bid today, so should be another week, 10 days, and I think you saw some emails about
Yeah.
the housing rehab board that we haven't been meeting face to face. All the water, the sewer, the road are done, turned out great. I think it's a showpiece, quite frankly. And to
It's
get
a-
people interested in doing it, you bring DHCD down and show them their rascal, they're gonna take pictures of that place.
It looks really nice. I read there the other day. They're very, very nice.
Only thing we might need is a speed bump. That's about it on Tappan Street.
Yeah.
On Tappan Street.
So, East End has turned out, and I think we said that there were originally 23 houses. I think there's been some people that didn't qualify or chose
Never
not to
qualified.
participate. And,
Yeah.
so I think that there'll probably be, what does she say, 4 additional houses or 4 additional units after this. 108 Epps, 504 Broad, 106 Viewbank, and 107 Viewbank. And the 2 on Viewbank are rental houses, and they're waiting to see if a sale goes through.
One of them, I think. Claire is the owner operator, right?
Who?
Claire. That's right beside Annette Johnson.
Yeah, he's getting ready to be done.
Yeah. And the next one is
The rental house.
Rental House Robert
That's
Rose.
one of them.
Yeah.
That's one of them, and then there's one across the street next to Mary Johnson.
That's Robert Rose.
Or
too.
2 down from Mary
Yeah,
Johnson.
that's Robert Rose
also.
too.
Is
Yep.
there one of them that has the 4 apartments in the building?
It's actually 3 apartments.
Yeah.
3 apartments, okay.
And that belonged to John Hill, and he was agreeable to allowing
Didn't know that.
renovation to take place.
That's where Kicks lives, right? Yeah.
And, I think that'll be a good one, because I think they still have wood stoves and stuff like that. So I think
Yeah,
it's-
that was a good project.
No insulation whatsoever.
All right, folks, let's move right along here. Weatherization, nothing to report. The new homeowners program that's attached.
I think Yvonne did say that she submitted the first applicant to
Yeah.
Southside Outreach to see if we can get a project going. And that would not be town funds, that would be funds brought to the table by Southside Outreach Group.
Where would that be, that house?
If I'm gonna guess, it's gonna be on one of the 3 properties that were purchased by Southside Outreach. If you remember, we're co-owners of
That's right.
the old Boot
Bubba,
House. the
Bubba
Tucker-
Tucker's house the house up there on the end, right across from Murray Johnson, and the corner lot right there by Janet Pritchard.
If I'm a betting man, it's gonna be.
I think it's gonna be Tucker's.
Oh, Tucker's, right?
I think it's gonna be Tucker.
I meant to send it to Jennifer last week, and I'm sorry to the lady that sent it to me. I had received photos of 3 lots on, I don't even know the streets. They were, I believe one of them's the Dove Homes. I know the lady that lives on Broad Street where we tore down a house. So we have a project manager that owns these lots, and they are atrocious looking, the pictures she sent me.
Where is this at?
The grass, I mean, their grass is 4 foot tall.
And they bought
But
the
the
house
town of
next
Blackstone,
to, they
town of
bought the house
Blackstone
next,
should not pay for the grass to be cut.
We're not.
and they bought the house next to Dollar General
We've
too.
already discussed it. No, we're not paying for it. Borough's gonna reimburse the town for getting the grant.
Okay.
But reimburse the cost of a town employee.
No, town employees are not cutting it. We're gonna have a private contract.
But yeah, because the house on the corner, right, we talking about, Charlie Stiff cut that.
Okay.
Charlie cut that house.
I guess.
The corner lot right there by Janet, he cut that.
Has it been cut?
Yeah, he said some guy came to told him to cut it. So that lot's been cut.
Was it a town employee cut?
No, Charlie cut it. Charlie Stiff.
Hey, it's fine.
You got me?
Charlie
I just got
Stiff
the
cut
4
it.
pictures from
He said somebody came to him and told him to cut it. Now I don't know who did it.
Well, before we get too bogged down, just because I mentioned this only because of grass. When will we start doing our annual round? I know in the past you're gonna start sending letters out. I don't want to call out the property by name for my own security, but I did send the town manager a email about a property
I will carry Jesse back
in the
over
Brunswick
there.
Avenue area that has a backyard that has high grass
And
now.
I will ride by there and take a picture.
I
Okay,
think the wisteria has choked the grass out,
okay.
so I don't think grass can even compete at this point.
But so in other words, though, but those rounds of letters are going out on grass cutting this week. Excellent.
I'm going out this week to take pictures.
You've done an awesome job on that, I tell you
And
what.
Chief has informed the officers, and I talked to Tony about doing more inoperable vehicle enforcement, and there's plenty to be done. There's been some reluctance to move forward because of their desire to keep separation, but I think that we just gonna have to break the stalemate and just say, guys, you need to start doing this again. So
Yeah.
I will pass
$5,000
it
what it
on.
cost me.
If you can stop
5,000.
You can certainly walk up and talk to someone about inoperable vehicles.
Yeah, and they're wearing masks. They're wearing masks.
That's not an issue.
Yeah.
Chief and I will have that discussion, but I think he's informed, we're instructed Mayton and the guys not to do it.
All right, we've done the comprehensive plan, and we're in a new business now to the VRSA, the insurance coverage for liability, auto, and workers' comp, and town manager is requesting authorization to approve, execute the documents. What is council's pleasure? This will require, this is a total of $221,960, even with the COVID discount.
Increase of what this year? It's in the
Went
budget.
from 209 to 221. I think she's got these figures in the budget.
Yeah, it's in the budget.
But that's what we spend a year to be a town, to protect for liability, workman's comp. We spend about $250,000 a year on insurance. And that's, where we're getting it from as cheap as you can get it.
The automotive liability coverage, is that, it says the value of new buses drove it up 8%. Is that partly refunded by?
Yes, I would think so. I mean, it certainly doesn't all come out of the towns, and we do get reimbursement for the out of town, but for the buses that run the town route,
We gotta pay our percentage, yeah.
Why the 15% increase in public official and law enforcement liability?
Past, possibly, or?
Sign the times, I
think
guess.
I think you can go back and look at the workers' comp, and I've said that we've gotten some, we've had some claims and some history that apparently have driven it up some cost.
Members of council, what's your pleasure?
I move to approve.
Second.
All right, Mr. Nash has moved, Mr. Morgan has seconded. I'll have a roll call vote, starting with Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, very good, 6-0.
We talked very quickly about the amounts. Remember, we also have some additional policies. Airport has a separate
That's
policy.
true, yeah.
And our fire apparatus are covered under a separate policy, if you remember. So
Yeah.
we do have some additional policies about that we still have to pay on top of those 221 that we.
Item number 2 is a routine annual event we do with Robinson Farmer Cox, our auditors, who, from everything I can tell, do a good job. What is your pleasure? It's an engagement letter.
Same amount?
I highlighted the amount in the letter.
Move to approve.
Just for the record, how much is the amount?
21.
21? Who wants a second, Mr.
Not
Nash?
the email, but Robinson Farmer Cox.
Yeah, Robinson Farmer Cox.
Second.
All right, we'll give the second to Ms. Jones. All in favor say aye.
It's over 10.
We need a roll call starting with Mr. Nash. It's over 10,000.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, go ahead. 6-0. There, y'all, Lonnie and Nathaniel in the choir tonight. Moving right along. Yeah, that's $21,500 is the fee, which is pretty constant. USDA loan on the water. This is the one we didn't do with Josh. 3.2 mil.
Half of that is refinance of the first phase of East End, and the second half would be three-pronged. The second phase of East End, replacement of water meters in town, and a replacement of a water filter at the water plant. We need to add media and diffusers and all that, so there'll be those three projects included. We are locked in at 1.375 for 40 years.
40 years.
40 years. So ultimately, I think what the result is, we'll do the additional work and the refi, and our payments will actually decrease. So
And no prepayment penalty. We can pay this thing off if we get in a position to do so.
we will, just so you know, I don't intend on doing any debts where we can't prepay. It's just crazy being stuck with a 6% interest rate when you can go to 2.
Mr. Morgan.
If anybody gets a call, we're going around as fire department taking chains off fire hydrants that have them on it with the cap. So we've been going around and taking them all off just in case somebody calls. Because they get bound up when they get old and you can't get the cap off. So.
Just make sure you put it back on there whenever you're done with it. Don't leave it in the grass or something.
Oh no, we'll put them in the truck and then.
No, I'm talking about the cap.
Yeah.
Like a
We'll
fire
take the cap
truck.
off, we'll just cut the chains off the hydrant that are
So-
attached to the cap.
Oh, wow, okay. Who came up with that idea? That's
Well,
clever.
when they put the new hydrants on Lindbergh Avenue, we made mention that and fires how nice and shiny the chains were. And that's what Ray brought it to our attention. He said, you need to get them off. And he said it's a town code for them to be removed.
You got me on that one.
The reason, and that's the reason, once they get old, you know, when you go to turn the cap to come off,
It's all-
the chain gets bound up and it gets tight and you can't get the cap.
That's horrible. Oh, my gosh.
We're taking all the chains off.
It's a lot of hydrants.
Psychology, yeah.
How many hydrants is it in town? Good Lord have mercy.
We've done the north end. Katie and I finished the north end last week. We'll be starting on the center part maybe this coming weekend.
Wow, that's great y'all doing that. Fantastic.
The resolution is before you.
3.2 million refinance. And what do you reckon we're saving by doing, generally speaking, how much money we
I don't
save?
think you're saving because you're stretching the term out
Yeah.
much longer.
True.
But I think in fact, if you go 40 years, you'll spend more.
True.
Certainly on the original 1.5.
But you've got more cushion and more breathing room now at the town hall.
Do 2 projects for the price of 1 basically.
Need a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion made and second. Due to the financial implications, we'll have a roll call vote starting with Mr. Nash.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
That motion carries 6-0. We've done the mini excavator. We've done,
There was one other item under that USDA loan resolution.
okay.
I've received 2 bids and they were exactly the same. $12,500 for bond counsel work. However, one of the firms which was, that is submitted was wanting to be compensated for reimbursables, where the other firm was not to exceed. And based on that, my recommendation is to go with Howard Estes with Spots Fane Attorneys. They're the ones that closed the interim deal with VML Vaco recently at the amount of not to exceed $12,500.
Who would like to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Miller has seconded Mr. Nash's motion. It's over 10,000. All in favor, we'll start with Mr. Nash.
Aye.
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 All right, the motion carries 6-0. We've done the mini excavator. We've done the fire truck. And now we're on, I guess, new business number 6. Pardon me, I'm scrolling and it's not,
And I hate to bring a request for money to you, and we can wait on this a little while.
new software, yes.
But this software, I think there have been some requests and some critique of the town on Facebook over the past year or two about the way we do not collect. Right now, if you use a credit card, it's 2.85%. We have, it's not PayPal, but we have a different way that a different company that we work with. What we have been working on, with Jennifer Hardy and Brittany have been working on, is to see if there's a way that we can do those things where people can pay online, look at their utility bills online, be able to pay with direct deposit, all those kinds of things. And they have found a way to do it, and Bright has made it possible to do with an upgrade of $15,675. We don't have it in the budget, but these are the things that people wanted to look at: property appraisals, business licenses, employees can look at their W-2s, account payable invoice history, all those kinds of things that we send out bills, including utility bills. People can actually look at them online now and be able to pay.
The one-time fee?
No, yeah.
I think it's important. I think it'd be money. I know, like you said, it's done the budget, but I tell you, the morale victory, people would really appreciate it.
And it's no fees for paying by check. It's-
By check, yeah.
I think Brittany
Or credit
said they
card.
were not doing the check then. I think Brittany said they were not doing the check.
She hadn't told me that, but that may be the case.
Just to be
Well, then if
clear,
you're
it
not
might
doing
not
check,
include.
then I think we need to go back to the drawing board then.
Yeah, how many people pay by check? Are they the minority? We pay by check.
I
I
pay
pay
by
by
check, so I'll get
check. I
charged
pay by
extra fee.
check.
The thing is, paying by check online,
You take a picture of your check and send it.
or either you just put your route number in, well, it's free, instead of paying the fee by the credit card. So that's where the benefit would be. A lot of people wanna pay online, you gotta use a credit card, you charge a fee.
Unless,
Passing it through.
unless there's a compelling reason, I would say do the checks, but apparently Brittany has talked to Jennifer and there's a reason
And
why.
I'm not real clear on that, but I did ask about checks, and I don't know
Well,
if
get
that's.
back to us, I think, I mean, until.
And we're not
that's a
asking
big-
for a definitive tonight, we just
Yeah.
wanted to let you know that it's possible. I think some of the businesses have asked for it at one time, it is possible to do, but there's an appreciable cost up front to do it.
Well, I think Jennifer had in there that it was gonna go into effect.
She wanted to go into effect by July first, 2020.
About July first.
Yeah.
Well.
Can we delay till maybe next week or the next
Well,
June meeting?
How about next Wednesday when y'all have your meeting?
Throw it on there. We'll have a big fest here throw it on there Wednesday.
I just wanna know, I mean, if you can't pay with no fees online, we're not really benefiting. Besides, you can view your invoices online, you can, I mean. not
People like
accomplishing
it.
What we really want.
But people, like I said, let's get it right. Measure twice,
Pay
cut
online
once.
With the check,
That's what it
with no
said.
fee.
Yeah.
Okay, just
But
wanna, okay,
you said it may be different.
right, so
so
I'll
we need to
I'll
make
double
sure.
check that, that's what I was asking, okay.
All right, so we'll delay action until next Wednesday, the 27th. We'll have more information from Treasurer Harris. Folks, the next item, new business number 7, Ronnie Jackson is a promoter. He just wants a letter of support that I will write, not committing the town to anything. We support Ronnie Jackson's quest to have outdoor concerts after the pandemic. It's a letter in there. He's written to everybody in the world, the vice president.
I think Ronnie was a town employee at one time.
He the water treatment plant.
Yep, he worked at the treatment plant.
He's a good guy. He's an innovator. He's a promoter. You've got his letter in the packet. It's not obligating the town for anything. He just wants some moral support.
I move that we have the mayor execute his signature on another letter.
There'll be a second to that? All right, we'll give the second to Ms. Jones. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries 6-0.
Before we go on, I have one more request, I got a bunch of emails at the info of Town of Blackstone.
Okay. I'll give that address out quite a lot.
I got 8 of them today, all asking about Christy Aviles being able to use Sea Park for her exercise.
She asked me, and I told her, here's what I told her. She wants to do some stuff outside because of the pandemic. I said, to use Sea Park for a business, you're gonna need some support from council, and I don't even know if the bylaws allow it, but the square, you just have to contact DBI. I believe, I'm not sure.
But it's for profit, I'm assuming this would be, I emailed her back today and she didn't ever reply
We've
back.
had requests to use Sea Park previously, and I told them no, because they were doing it for charge.
Right.
They were gonna charge folks, so, indeed, if it's a business, that one, you guys can do what y'all choose to, but if she came to me and just said, oh, me and a bunch of friends are gonna do a fundraiser for whatever, and do a planking contest.
Right,
then
right.
There would be no charge.
Well, I can understand if, I think anything that's for-profit should come before council. But I think having a fitness class in the park during this pandemic, if a business can stay open during this time, we need to allow it.
All right, so you want to, how about a motion to allow her to pick her venue, just coordinate with the timing through the town office?
So moved.
All right. Motion made, do a second to let Christy Avalese use either the park or the square, as long as she coordinates the timing with the town
And
office.
if anyone else for-profit, it has to come before us.
Right,
obviously.
right.
There's one other that we turned down that we'll tell them they could come to you, and I think it's more yoga.
I would love to see our parks and open spaces used. And if we're having a concert fair or something,
Right.
that's involved a lot more, but
Right.
yoga and stuff, let's not use it.
Everybody okay with that? I've got nothing to refer to committee other than the fact that, like I said, next Wednesday's gonna be big on the health and on the referendum and the budget. Colonel Tom.
I got an email, and you might have got one too, just yesterday, I believe it was, from Jill Maddox Domo. She is the great niece of Preston Maddox. She wrote co-wrote Tech Triumph.
Yes, oh,
So she said that she and her brother would like to represent the Maddox family at whatever we're going to do. And she didn't know what was happening, she wanted to know, you know, just keep me apprised of what's going on so we can be involved with it.
that's great. Did she give it to your, what email did she use? The town of Blackstone?
Use the town.
I haven't checked that in a while, so I need to look at that. That's great. We definitely will. And hopefully by summer, we need to set a date soon, don't we? Well, we need to decide where we're going to put the marker too.
We plan to put it in the yard of the house.
Yeah, I know.
So we need to come up with, you know, maybe we'll, might approach our Rotary Club.
But when does the second phase
Do some work
start?
on the
When
house.
when is the second phase anticipated?
Don't know.
2 weeks, right?
I don't know.
And the second phase supposed to start around the 1st of June or something?
Reopening.
The second
It
phase.
sounds fluid. I mean, it doesn't,
Phase is,
It's gonna depend on a spike.
I thought it was
Yeah.
10 June.
Okay.
10 June.
We're going to see how this,
We have 1,000.
You got
Yeah.
yeah. I've got nothing in the mayor's minute, but I will say I want to commend the staff and this council for how we've conducted business the last few months because it's been out of the norm. We'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting, or do you want to continue it to next Wednesday?
Continue.
All right. Anything else for the good of the cause? Tom, thank you for that update, though. That's very important.
Last time real quick, I had a gentleman walk in my office today and hand me a letter asking for $30 from the town for a cover for a grill that he says the town employees threw out. That was out in his yard laying on the ground. And I don't know if he did or didn't, but I'm asking him authorization. I believe his name was
Kevin.
Kevin Stokes. And pay him $30 for a grill cover that
Do you
he claims
feel-
the town employees threw out, but I can't prove. I don't know.
I told him he talked
garbage
to.
is the biggest complaint when it comes to, not the employees themselves, but my bill's not this, or my bill's not that, and, oh my goodness.
Curbside will solve it.
Were they seen something?
Huh?
Or somebody seen pictures of grill pit, what, something like
Well, he's claimed, but we've had two other instances. Remember, we threw out a deck for a lawnmower,
We had a tire episode, too.
and there were 2 bags of clothes on a woman's porch that we threw out. Remember? So
It was the bags for the lawnmower catcher, was what,
I can't prove it.
that? Because we've had several days there, even with the wind's been blowing pretty good.
Oh yeah.
Well, that blew the cover
Well, this happened a couple months ago.
$2 down.
This happened a while
Yeah,
ago,
this happened a while ago.
but he just so happened to come into my office today and hand me that letter because I told him to put it in writing what he wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, are you gonna be obligated for everybody that comes in and says, well, the trash truck will throw away my boy's back?
I can't say we'd be obligated, but I can tell you, precedent-wise, we paid for 2 others.
It's just $30, but the president, what do you feel? Are you in favor of paying it or not?
Pay it. I mean, I can't prove it in a matter of goodwill. Give him $30 and just say we call him.
All right, is that a motion, Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Who would like to second Ms. Jones's motion?
I second.
Ms. Hasbrook, second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, motion carries 4, 1, and 1. Mr. Morgan dissents and Mr. Miller abstains. One other thing before we go, I don't want to say this out loud, but y'all got an email from me several months ago about when we have this ceremony for the Tech Triumph sign. There's someone in our community I would like to surprise that has done a lot of goodwill for the community, and I had mentioned to y'all about.
Are you gonna say while we're recording, it won't be a surprise?
No, I'm not going to say the name, but I want to see if I can authorize the town manager after this meeting to order a sign that would name the lane in the Swartz Tavern, a name that I discussed with members of this council
I think
privately.
you need approval, to be honest. I think you should do it.
And I'll get it,
You talking about the driveway?
yes, that's currently unnamed. I'd like to have the ceremony there for the unveiling of the marker, and I've talked to the person's family, and Tom, it looks like we're going to probably put the marker on South Main Street, but I am in favor of more signage like in the park to get people to go there, because the marker's written about the house. But I'd like a vote by council to authorize that.
To authorize
The naming of the Swartz Tavern Lane.
Second.
Mr. Morgan, a second. Mr. Nash's motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Anything else? We will continue. We will continue this meeting. It's 9:30. We'll continue to next Wednesday at 6 o'clock, May 27th, for budget and Armory Fest or whatever we want to call it.